welcome to my channel. I am back for another recap of And Just Like That, streaming now on Max. You know, it's the reboot of Sex and the City. We are on episode 4, and I think this episode, there were two things that happened in this episode. We found out how big of a prude Carrie Bradshaw is, and who the real MVPs of this season are. So let's start with Carrie. I mean, she writes about sex. That's how she made a living for decades. But she's still so uncomfortable on the topic of sex. I don't get it. She won't talk about cum. She cringes when she sees a dick pic. She won't advertise a vagina product. But if you think about it, Carrie was always the prude of the group, even though she writes a column about sex. Remember that episode where she walks into Samantha's office and Samantha is giving a blowjob to the UPS guy, and then that whole episode they had a fight about Carrie being judgmental. So yeah, in this episode we have another guest appearance from a previous character from Sex and the City, which is Carrie's former editor from Vogue, Enid. I think it's Enid. So she's back for this episode, and at the end, when she's having that whole get together for her Vivant newsletter, we think that she's asking Carrie to write a column for her, for her newsletter, but she was actually asking Carrie for a donation to her website, $100,000 donation. And she says that after Big passed away, Carrie's pockets got deeper. It makes sense. Carrie became a lot richer after, Big's death. But it's still for her to, I can't imagine being that rich that you would just like pull up your PayPal, easy as that. And it's like, sure, here's $100,000. Even if I have $500,000 or $1 million in my bank account, I still would, if somebody asked me for $100,000 donation, whatever charity it is, I would still go home, think about it, look at my bank account, look at my finances, and like, okay, I can PayPal this person $100,000. But right then and there, I'm like, wow, Carrie, you are that rich. I mean, because I'm thinking right now, it's like, wow, I wish I could pull up my phone right now and like Venmo, kids in Africa $100,000. And it's just like, Carrie, she only did that to promote her book. Can she donate that amount of money to a charity? Anyway, I think I'm digressing. So let's talk about Charlotte and Harry. They send the kids to camp. So the kids are away for summer camp. They're away for 4 weeks. And Charlotte and Harry, they're so excited because they have all this time to spend together. So the first thing they want to do is get in bed and have sex. And they're having sex, and then Charlotte says, do you, I'm like afraid to say it on YouTube. She's like, do you want to come on my tits? And then Harry's like, what? Is it my birthday? And she's like, no, this is like birthday, New Year's, anniversary, all combined. I thought this was kind of lazy writing because they already used on season 1 this whole it's Harry's birthday bit. Remember season 1, it was either first episode or second episode, but Lily walks in on Charlotte about to give a blowjob to Harry, and she's on her knees, and then she's telling the whole, what happened to Carrie and Miranda. And then Miranda is like, wait, you still blow Harry? And then Carrie says, was it his birthday? So the fact that they used it again here, I was like, well, I heard this before. While I'm at the topic of lazy writing, another moment was when Bitsy is trying to hook up Carrie with Marlon, I think that's his name, this older man. But at the end, when she is at the Vivant meeting, Bitsy sends Carrie a dick pic of this man. And when they're talking earlier, she said something like, oh, he's known as the human tripod. We all know the reference. We all know what a human tripod is. But then right after she said that, Bitsy says, because we all think he's got 3 legs. And I was like, we know what a human tripod means. Why do you have to explain to the audience? We're not dumb. So going back to Charlotte and Harry, which I think the two of them had the best storyline of this episode. So Harry gets up and, he's about to like come on her titties, and then nothing comes out because Charlotte is looking down and there's nothing, and she's like, did you fake an orgasm? And he's like, no. And then she's talking to the ladies at brunch, with Anthony there, but apparently it happens to older men. It's called dusty balls, as Anthony called. But so Charlotte takes Harry to the doctor to find out what happens, because apparently Charlotte loves cum, so she wants it back. So I actually liked that we learned something in this episode. We were educated, because I didn't know about this condition. I didn't know this happened to men, that like you can have an orgasm and not ejaculate. So the doctor said that the jizz went to Harry's bladder instead of his balls, but he can get it back by doing Kegel exercises. So I found it really interesting because, we talked about a lot of, women going through menopause and hot flashes and all the, the side effects of menopause, but we don't talk enough about men and what they go through, after a certain age. The Kegel exercise scene where Charlotte is being like a personal trainer to Harry, I thought it was such a funny scene. She says, I do it 3 sets of 10, 3 times a day. You can do this. Come on. And she said, don't squeeze your butthole. It's not like you're trying to hold a fart. That scene actually reminded me a lot of the old days of Sex and the City. Even at the end when she's giving him a hand job and to see if the cum comes out, and it does. And she's, as cute as Charlotte can be. And he's like, how do we do? How do we do? And she said, Happy 4th of July. I love Charlotte and Harry's relationship. I think they're so cute. They're comfortable around each other. They're not scared to talk about topics like this. And the chemistry between the two actors too. I love them as a couple. They might be my favorite couple right now on the show. I also think that Charlotte will go back to work because she has a conversation with this art gallery owner at Lisa's anniversary party. So I think they're setting up something there. And something that I wanted to address that, if you watch my last recap, you know about the whole fiasco of me trying to upload a recap of episode 1 and 2. Remember when Lily, Anthony actually called her Lily Eilish, it's presenting this whole, she wants to be a musician now. She wanted money to get that keyboard. And then she sings that song about being like poor privilege. Only privileged kids sing about how bad it is to be privileged. And I was just like, what's your complaint, Lily? Like, what are you complaining about? Because usually rich, privileged kids, it's the lack of love or absent parents. They have everything. They have cars, houses, but they lack the presence of their parents because the parents are always hustling, traveling, working, and all of that. They're raised by nannies. So for Lily, I was like, what's your complaint? Because Charlotte, it's a very present mom. She actually became a stay-home mom. And up to this day, she's still a very present mom. She needs to go to like the Bronx or Washington Heights and go volunteer at a soup kitchen. Little girl. Okay, that was my rant about Lily being privileged. Poor me. Then we have Miranda. So Miranda's back in New York, to deal with the whole Brady breakup situation, and she's sleeping on the couch. And I was like, why are you there? First of all, can't you afford a hotel room, even a Motel 6? Can you stay with your friends? You have all those friends, all those rich friends, like Charlotte, especially with the kids being at camp. Like Charlotte, she has all the spare bedrooms. She probably has a guest bedroom. Why can't Miranda stay there? Because her staying on the couch and walking by Steve, punching that ball like it was Miranda's face, it's not good for Brady. That whole dysfunctional family environment, it's not good for the kid. So she's there until her or Steve, they decide it will be Steve, finds their own place. And speaking of Steve, she walks by on the way to the bathroom. She sees him shirtless doing that little, boxing, punching ball, whatever that's called. And I was like, Steve, that's what was under all those plaid shirts of yours? I was like, whoo. So Shay's back in New York, and they get this like fancy apartment in New York with IKEA furniture, which I find it odd. You have the money from just a pilot, the show hasn't even aired, to get this fancy apartment, but you don't have the money, and you get IKEA furniture, but you don't have money to hire a moving company. You need to have your husband, because it's not an ex-husband as they call it. Technically, we're still married. You need to have your husband help you move in. I don't know. If I was Miranda, I would think like that whole thing was weird. And then we found out, because they're all drinking and having a conversation, it was Carrie, Miranda, Lyle, played by Oliver Hudson. Still don't see any chemistry between him and Shay. I do not picture those two married. And Shay, so they're all talking, and then we found out that when Shay and Lyle were married, they were in a poly marriage. And they talk about this girlfriend that they used to have, Jeannie or something. And then Lyle says she was the first one to peg him. And everyone was like, oh my God. At that moment, when they talked about Jeannie being their girlfriend, I was like, oh no, they're just using Miranda as their like third wheel for like a threesome or something, or to be, you know, the third person in a poly relationship. They're gonna try a threesome with her. It happened. Threesomes, you know, as much fun as you think they are, they're very tricky. All parties need to feel involved. And I think Miranda felt left out. Threesomes, they need to be talked about before you get into bed. You know, especially for someone that never had one like Miranda, I thought they needed to have that conversation with her before being in bed, and like, are you comfortable with this, or are you sure you want this? I was like, hey guys, you know, it felt kind of pushy of the two of them on Miranda. At least Shay left the room and went to the living room and slept on the couch with Miranda, because I thought, oh no, they're gonna stay in the bedroom and finish whatever they're doing with Lyle, and then Miranda's gonna be on the couch by herself. But I was glad they left and went to stay with Miranda. First of all, the episode when Miranda finds out that Shay's still married, and now she finds out that they were in a poly marriage, I realized that Shay and Miranda don't really know each other. They don't have meaningful conversations. They only talk about, you know, Shay's career or their show or sex. They don't really talk about each other. Remember the episode where Shay nailed Miranda because Miranda didn't tell Steve, or hadn't told Steve about her and Shay, or Shay thought she was in a relationship, in an open relationship with Steve. So Shay like nailed Miranda for not being honest with them and with Steve. But then, you know, we found out that Shay is still married to this guy. Miranda just found out. I was like, you know, you're not being completely honest either. And then Lisa and Herbert, they have this big anniversary party set up at this fancy restaurant. Is it 20th anniversary? Something like that. First of all, Herbert, you need to step up for your wife. Like, I don't care if it's your mama, but your mama is being really nasty to your wife constantly, like ongoing, to the point that's not really believable. You need to be a man and step up and say, like, Mom, do not talk to my wife like that. Second, when you send an Evite, okay, especially for such a big and important party like that, it was about 31 people. The whole thing, he had the Evite, and then when they looked on his phone, I was like, oh no, he probably like wrote down the wrong date, because Lisa finds out that one of her friends are like away, you know, they're out of the country, they don't know about the party. So Herbert finds out that he didn't send the Evites. And when you send an Evite, like I said, people are SVP, and you get an email confirmation with everyone that are SVP for your party. So I was just like, no, there's no way you would just like, oh, throw the party and not know who's coming, who's not coming. Especially like rich people like that. They're planners. They need to know who's coming, who's not coming, seating arrangements and all of that. So the fact that they didn't get an RSVP from one person, Overall, I like this episode. It's probably the best episode so far, I think. And I think because the real MVPs, like I said, was Charlotte and Harry. I think they brought Sex in the City, literally, back to and just like that. And also the fashion. Oh my goodness, that dress that Carrie it's wearing to go to the Vivant get together. I want that dress. It was beautiful, beautiful, like the pastel colors, and it was flowy. Oh, such a pretty dress. And also Charlotte's dress that she wore to the Lisa's anniversary party, the pink one. I know a lot of people are wearing pink because Barbie's coming out and pink is, the new color of summer. But that dress on Charlotte was beautiful. Lisa's dress, the sparkly one with cleavage like here, was very pretty too. So those three dresses were also my MVPs of this episode. So these were my thoughts. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Do you think there was too much sex for your liking? What do you think is the future for Shay and Miranda? Sound off in the comments below. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the little bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And I'll see you next time.